Actually, it's a
Yeah.
it's become very cold here in León. I don't know Irapuato, but here in León it's
Yeah.
extremely cold.
We are at
9 degrees.
9 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's already past 9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that well, yeah, there's sun, but I don't know. At least my house, I consider that it's like cold. So yeah, I feel colder too.
And you think it's colder than usual, or what's your take? What do you think is going on?
Mm, yeah, well, in the mornings, I think that it's colder here.
Okay,
And yeah, after like 12, it starts like to not feel like too much hot, but with the sun, you cannot feel like the whole cold. And then in the nights again, you feel colder too.
right. Yeah, it's maybe it's the one of the coldest winters that I've ever felt. It's been extremely cold here. I'm kind of resistant to cold weather, but this season, man, has been really, really, really extreme, I believe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on a subject, Mickey, of the concept that has been around for some weeks now, maybe months in the international arena, not only regarding transactions and business, but in international politics, the concept of authority. So, why don't we define the concept of authority to begin with? What is your concept of authority in general terms? What is authority in your mind? Who have authority? Who have what types of authority there are?
Mm, I consider that authority is like mm, like a legitimate power to keep orders. Uh, and yeah, depends. Orders, take decisions too. To Mhm. And you can find it in different parts, like in your family. Normally, parents are the authority, like in the school, like the teachers, directors, in society, the government. Yeah.
Right. Okay. The government. Okay. Why? How do you exert? How do people exert authority or exercise authority?
hmm
How is it
Mm,
exerted, executed, established, and enforced also?
hmm
So you first, what do you do with authority? You show your authority, right? You establish it, you exert it, and then you enforce it, etc. How is it? How do you show authority, or any person that has authority? A policeman, the military, the government, your parents, your teachers, you yourself as a strong businessman versus a weak businessman. How
hmm
is authority showed or expressed or revealed? How is it expressed, revealed, shown?
mm. Well, maybe I don't think that it's just like one way to show authority. I think that there are different ways
Okay.
to show it. Um, I think that, for example, in the case of the parents, um, they show authority like giving orders like, okay, make your bed, or okay, you can clean this, or do your homework because you're like living here, so you need to complete with certain tasks. I think that parents show authority in that way.
Right.
mm, with government, I think that they show authority when they create a new law, or when they are doing like reforms, or when they want to show authority to other countries, like to express like the power that they have, like to show the whole power they have, doing different things.
Okay. Yeah, very, very interesting. Now, is there a way to contest power or authority? In other words, in some countries, like in the US in this moment,
Hmm.
possibly the government is exercising an abuse of power, possibly with
Hmm.
these eyes and other military devices they have, right?
Hmm.
Internationally, too, right? They subtract or abduct uh, a running president and they just take him anywhere they want without without asking Congress, with no asking the United Nations, without trial, with no nothing, just with power. Um, they threaten to seize Greenland, which is not theirs, and they say that for strategic reasons. Well, and what about the strategic reasons of Denmark? And what about the strategic reason, the strategic needs or interests of other people? Right? Why does only your interests or my interests prevail? In other words, people say, "Well, I'm going to do this." You announce it, but some people contest it. They say, "No, wait a second. Why are you going to do that? Or how are you going to do that? Or you need to ask Congress. You need to do this." How do different groups or in which different scenarios you contest authority? Even at home, you say, "Do your homework." "Oh, mom, it's too late, or it's too early, it's whatever." I always
Hmm.
do it, or go pick up some eggs. "Oh, I am tired." Whatever. I mean, all of us were children. All of us went through the birth of our parents, right? So
Yeah.
how do people contest authority with examples?
Great examples. Yeah, for example, in the school, uh, when the teacher asks us to participate in something and you deny or you ignore it, or when the teacher tells you like you need to don't make noise and you're against it and you start to make noise. Um, in in governments, I think that we have seen like many cases where one a strong country established like something new, and then other countries that are strong to start like to um debate or imposing like tariffs, like to affect the country that is doing uh, something against like their own interest. Mm, what else?
Sometimes people make demonstrations in the streets. Lots of
Yeah.
people gather and they march. They do
Hmm.
these demonstrations like the ones they're doing because of the shooting of this lady in Minneapolis, remember?
Hmm. Yeah.
So you demonstrate, you march, there are parades, there are marches, etc. And how do you think the call for action, when it's your own independent, individual, unique action to rebel, you rebel against an order, right? For example, today you're gonna wash the dishes, Edgardito, and I say, "Well, why me? I washed the dishes yesterday." So I rebel, right? Is an individual action. But when
Hmm.
you make a call for action, when you incite people, right? Incite people to rebel.
Hmm.
Um, how is this call for action? How is this call for action? To rebel or to oppose or to demonstrate. Just remember the French Revolution, Mickey. I'm sure that you read the history about the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, the Mexican Revolution, the Chinese Revolution. There have been many, many, many revolutions.
Hmm.
There have been incitations. You incite people to take action, right? You tell them, "Let's rebel, let's march, let's do this." In some cases with cause. You remember Martin Luther King in his
Hmm.
famous speech?
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And there have been other cases in which they have been successful, and so many other cases in which they have failed dramatically. So, what comes to your mind when you listen to the word, when you read the word, incite people to rebel?
Yeah, as you mentioned, incite people to take action. I think that in many cases, people can feel like disconformed with something or someone, or a group of people, but they normally criticize them through social media, but they don't do like something specific. They are just like criticizing with comments or or yeah. There are other ones that are exposing like their ideas on social media, but sometimes uh, they don't go like, how say, like farther.
Further, right? Yes.
Uh, Nowadays, we have seen, like as you mentioned, many cases where there are like marches, parades against something or against a group or against a government. And I think that yeah, social media, when you use it correctly, not just like to criticize something, like to create a group, it's a good tool to incite people to rebel.
Yeah. Now, which are the pros, which are the cons of inciting people for action? You can say, I'm not inciting them. It's not an incitation. It is a motivation, right? I'm encouraging people.
Hmm.
So where's the fine line between incitation and encouragement, which are two different things, right? Which is the fine line between these two words, inciting and encouraging? How are they similar? How are they different?
Mm, Incitation and encouragement. Mm, well, I think that in the case of incitation, you are like probably just like showing the reasons why you want to attract more people to do something. You are like uh, giving just like a little to uh, yeah, how can I say it?
Okay. And encourage, what is when you encourage a person, uh, I mean, the meaning of the word incite, you are
Mhm.
inciting a crowd to go and rebel against, for example, they say that Trump incited a group of people to rebel against the winning the elections of John Biden, right? That was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. And when they say he incited people, in other words, to take action that is typically violent.
Mm.
Normally, you would imagine that is violent action to go take to the streets and start doing demonstrations, making demonstrations, and giving these speeches and opposing to things.
Mhm.
Whereas encouraging, you can encourage a person to study more, to learn more, to do more exercise, to do
Mhm.
normally has a positive.
Positive impact.
Yes, yes.
Mm. Okay.
Whereas inciting tends to have a negative connotation. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's like a subjective criteria. What do you think, Mickey?
Hmm. Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't like completely sure about the word incitation, because I think, well, it seems like similar with encouragement, uh, but I wasn't sure like if there was like a normally or usually like a negative impact instead of encouragement, like to try to get a positive impact, encourage people to do something, or as you mentioned, to study more or to work out more, to eat healthier. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, like there is an example of positive connotation here. I wish if you, I wonder if you can read them, please, Mickey. The
Hmm.
positive connotation here, please.
Yeah. Positive, the coach's encouragement inspired them. He gave them hope and confidence. Negative, the leader's speech was an incitement to rebellion. It provoked and stirred people to rebel. Yeah.
Yeah, it has normally a negative connotation, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, of course, you can say. that people were incited to demonstrate because they had a right to do that. Like, for example, when did people take to the streets in the French Revolution? What were the causes that incited people to a violent means in the French Revolution? Can you look up like for the historical background of the French and the Russian revolutions, maybe in a table to discuss, please? Of reasons why people rebelled in the French, Russian, and Mexican Revolution, maybe. French, Mexican, and Russian Revolution. Revolution. Economic crisis, social injustice, political failure, and corruption.
Okay, I asked the ChatGPT to do like a comparative chart
Okay.
showing the
You
causes.
you you showing it, or you're gonna show it, or you put it in a document, whatever you want to do.
Mm, Let me see how long it is to see if I
Okay.
can. Yeah, I can share the screen.
All right. Let me then get rid of this or stop showing. All right. Sharing. Let's take a look.
Here it is.
Let's take a look at it, and let's let me put here. Okay. Very interesting. Interesting. Let's see what you make of this. Time period: French, Russian, and Mexican Revolution. Which was the first one? Obviously, the Russian, right?
The uh,
I'm sorry, the French
the
Revolution.
French. Yeah, the French.
Then the Russian and the Mexican were at about the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what about social inequality? And let's see if that sounds more or less familiar. What do you see in common in the three cases, Mickey? French, Russian, and Mexican Revolution.
Society was so divided uh, in the three cases. For example, in the first one, in the French Revolution, society was divided into states. So there were people who had more privileges than others, and the revolution and the Russian Revolution, sorry, it was like the same, divided between elites and the workers, and they didn't have like the political voice. And well, we know that here in Mexico was the same. A lot of indigenous and rural people exploited, and they always have like this how is it, like this division between the owner of the lands and the workers there.
Right. And well, this is more or less prevalent in many societies, right? Then we have the second one is economic problems, severe debt, high taxes, food shortages, and rising bread prices. Whereas in Russia, that's in France, poverty, food shortages, poor working conditions, and in Mexico, land concentrations, right? The landowners, the terratenientes, no, at that time,
Yeah.
low wages and real poverty. Well, that's economic problems. How about political repression?
In the case of French, then they have a representation for the third state. Obviously, in the case of Russia, they didn't have democracy, censorship, and secret police. And here in Mexico, rich elections and repression of opposition.
Yeah. Well, that issue of rigged elections is prevalent even now, right?
Yeah, I think that
They say, no, the elections
they
have been
haven't
rigged.
changed too much. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not too different. How about the influence of ideas?
In the case of French, it was mm, Enlightenment ideas, liberty, equality, fraternity. In the case of Russia, the Marxism, socialism, workers' rights. And in the case of Mexico, liberalism, nationalism, and land reform ideas.
Actually, I believe at that time the French national anthem had the
Mhm.
word égalité, which means fraternité also. Fraternity, equality, and liberté. They say liberté, égalité, fraternité, which are very similar because they all come from Latin, right?
Yeah,
Versus Marxism, socialism, and rights of the workers, which had the idea, it was an economic idea, actually. I think the term Marxism and socialism has been overly criticized, and many of the people that use these words, or Marxist, don't even have not even read Marxist theories,
yeah,
because
yeah. That is true.
yeah, and in the case of because it talks about the surplus. The surplus is you have a cost of production, you make a little profit, and you build a piece of bread at 5 pesos, you sell at seven, and you make a 2 peso profit. That's what it says, basically, right? So
Mm,
that's not actually bad, right? It makes a logical explanation of and why that 2 peso profit you don't share it with the worker that made it. You just give him his 5 pesos or the amount of capital that he's going to make for making that bread, but the profit that you make for the from the people, why don't we share it with the worker? It's
mhm.
just for the owner because you have more money at your disposal, right? So it's a whole philosophy that came about from that from there, and is still to these days in debate. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that Marxism is good or is bad. It's just an explanation of why and a definition of many terms. And what do you think about Mexico's ideology at that time, Mickey? Liberalism, nationalism, and land reform ideas. What's your thought about that?
yeah. I think that the problem there was that, uh, if I remember, it was during Porfirio Diaz was in government, and I know that he was in the government for more than, I don't know, 30 years. I don't remember exactly the number of years that he was in charge,
Hmm.
and yeah, people. It's supposed that during the period of Porfirio Diaz, it was like an advancement. But on the other hand, I think that people didn't have, as you mentioned, like the the rights to really show who do you want to be like your president, and there was a huge division between the people who have the lands and the payments that they received, lands or mines too. I think that in that time it was popular to pay. Ha- I think that after that they developed like the uh, tiendas de raya or something like that, and I don't remember how to say it in in English, where they were paid uh, just a little bit of money, or instead of money, I don't know, with things like rice or with things with or salt, something sugar, things like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's what I remember.
right. Yeah, but there was a general
Hmm.
unrest. People were not happy. They had reached extremes. And there is a friend of mine that is in the US, in Florida,
Hmm.
says that what happens after revolution is that all you change is the title of your master. You continue being subdued under the yoke of the tyrants. The only thing that changes is the name of the master. Instead of the mice having a white cat as the owner, now they have a red or a black or a yellow cat, but you still are under the rule of someone. I don't know if that is always true or what, but I don't know if all the revolutions attained at the end purpose they intended to achieve or to attain. What do you think?
Well, yeah, probably. I don't know. In certain places, I know that the conditions of workers are so bad, and in a way, yeah, there was a revolution. But if we go to the rural areas, if we go to, I don't know, to the, how to say this, like,
Orphanage?
um, not exactly that, like to the companies that have a lot of workers and they are working in the same building, you can see that they have like not the best conditions. So yeah, probably as your friend mentioned, it just changed of name, but I think that the idea is the same.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good comment, Mickey. And then you have immediate triggers, something that triggers or is like a spark that makes the revolution explode. In the case of Russia, financial crisis, and going to the States General, that's in France. In Russia, the World War One and losses and economic collapse. And in the case of Mexico, the re-election and repression of reformers. Um, I'm not very vested in Mexican's revolution, but I've heard lots of complaints that it was a failed revolution. That's what I've heard quite a bit. I don't know if that is true or not. And what about the main rebel groups, Mickey?
The main rebel groups in the case of France, was the bourgeoisie,
Bourgeoisie, yeah.
bourgeoisie, peasants, urban workers. In the case of Russia, the proletariat, soldiers, and peasants too. Here in Mexico, obviously, peasants, workers, middle class reformers.
Yeah. It usually affects the middle class most of the times and always the lower strata of the society, which is interesting because, I mean, the middle class seems to go up and down a little bit, like fluctuate.
Yeah,
But it looks like the poor class is always the poor class. They always remain there. Looks like it. Um, I don't know if there is a way for them to come out of the bottom. You've seen the game Ladders and Snakes that you
yeah,
play with the dice,
yeah, of course.
that you advance 3 or 4 squares, then you hit the ladder, and then you go 10 squares up to the second or third floor, and then accidentally you hit the tail of a snake, and then you come down back again.
Down again. Yeah, yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, but it looks to me, maybe it's not true, but it looks to me that people in the lowest levels of the lowest strata of society, they remain there. I don't know why it looks to me like that. I don't. I mean, people like, for example, my grandpa had a difficult situation, but he was a very hard worker, and he managed to bring his family a little bit upwards to make their life conditions significantly better to the one he had. But I think that's an exceptional case. I don't see that very often. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that, as you mentioned, the lowest social class, uh, unfortunately, I consider that is growing and growing. I think that in some cases, people that was part of the middle class, it's much easier to be part then, to after that be part then of the lowest class to then to the to the high class. So so yeah, I think that there are many things analyzed, but sometimes the system is like, in a way, I think that they sell you the idea like to be better, to have, to be better in work, to be better in everything, to in a way to reach that level. But in reality, we know that it's much easier to to do all that and stay there, or unfortunately stay in the low class.
There are people. I mean, you told me about the project that you're gonna do. I believe tomorrow.
Yeah,
You
tomorrow.
that sounds fabulous.
Thank
This
you.
is really inspiring, and I believe is exemplary in the way that many people should see what you guys are doing and emulate that. Try to repeat it in other sectors, other areas, right? but we don't. We just see it like we watch a movie. We say, "Oh, how pretty!" Oh, okay, and then we continue forgetting about the people.
Yeah.
How could we make a system? Okay, tomorrow you're going to make an action of generosity. Is very something to praise, to
Mhm.
emulate, to imitate, and to replicate.
Mhm.
But then when people see it, let's say I see that because you're telling me kindly. Maybe I tell this to my friends, to other people. I tell them, look, Mickey's doing this action. It's fabulous. And then is it possible to do something like that, become something systematic, like an event that the government can undertake and say, oh, look at what Mickey is doing. Okay, I'm going to do it myself. What would be the path, the roadmap to get there? Maybe it's just an illusion, but let's say that is possible.
Mm, I consider that sometimes little actions can make huge differences. Uh, I think that the problem that we have as a society is that we are expecting to others, like to the rich people, to the governments, to do something, and we know by experience that not many cases that happens. And I think that there are people that probably is not like in the best conditions in comparison with governments or the big owners of the biggest enterprises here in Mexico or in the world in general. Uh, but that we can do like little changes, and those little changes impact in the lives of others. So yeah, I would say like starting with the people that is around you, like to don't try to change the world from one day to other, because I would say that it's impossible if we don't change our mindset before. So yeah, I consider that helping the people that is around you, and probably it's like a little bit too optimistic, but in consequence probably they can help others and create like this little chain. So yeah, so not expecting, in few words, not expecting that others does what you want to do, or don't
That's
expect. Yeah.
okay. That sounds really smart. Yeah, yeah. We shouldn't expect others to do, or we should take the lead, right?
Exactly.
What is it exactly that you're doing tomorrow, Mickey? You told me last week, just to rephrase it here today.
Hmm. uh, we started posting on our Instagram page that we wanted to do a collect of toys in a way to give to the, yeah, to the community. I don't remember exactly the name of the community. Is Ojo de Bermúdez, something like that. And I think that is between Irapuato and Salamanca. I think that it's yeah, like in the middle of that. And we were nervous at the beginning because we did a poll, and in the poll we asked like who we're gonna see in the collective toys. And I think that just four people vote. One was me, the other one was my other friend, and the mom of my friend. So we were like, oh my god, probably it's nobody's gonna come. Um, but we went to the place that we posted that we will be there, and it was great. It was great because it was a positive response. So the message there was like, sometimes when someone takes the initiative, there's gonna be people that is gonna follow it. And tomorrow we're gonna go to it's a primary school. In total, I think that there are 68 kids between boys and girls, and we're gonna give them toys.
Okay. Is it you and other friends?
Yeah, me and two friends.
Two friends.
Hmm.
Do you mind sharing their name? Just the first name?
Yeah, Javier and Ruben.
Uh, and there, you guys are going to deliver toys to a
Hmm.
community
Yeah.
that you collected in the span of what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Or
Actually, it was just one afternoon. Obviously, we posted that if you have toys and you want to donate them, we can see like in the middle point, and we take the toys. But at the end, we got like 88, 89, between 88 to 90 toys in total in just one afternoon from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. So yes, as I told you, there was a positive response of people.
That's awesome. Let me ask you more about this, Mickey. You collected that in the span of one afternoon, but you have been advertised that
Yeah,
uh, for how long?
for like 2 or 3 weeks, more or less. 3 weeks, I would say.
3 weeks.
Hmm.
And you see that you say that the response was great because you were able to collect like approximately 90 toys,
Yeah.
and you're gonna give that to a 68 kids.
Hmm. A part of that day, I'm gonna purchase more toys because we went to the toy store, and for the Christmas and for uh, the Day of Three Kings, the prices are like higher a little bit, but the same stores mentioned us that before after that the prices go down a little bit. So today we're gonna go to purchase just a little bit more to in case of whatever, and yeah, tomorrow we're gonna go to that community. It's a primary school.
Okay. You're going to deliver them, obviously with the assistance of the director of the school.
Yeah, we talk with her. Uh, she told us like the hour, and she told us that she's gonna have the kids like in order, like in lines and from ages. So yeah, she's helping us to order kids, and I consider that was like the best way to do it because I don't know if we go to the communities by ourselves, we don't know like the reaction of people, or sometimes parents get involved more than the kids. Like, oh, my kid, what wants this kid this toy instead of this, and I would say that it's like a little bit more difficult. So that's why we decided to search a school, and in that way, I think that it's gonna be much better.
Wow, that's fabulous, fabulous. Why did you decide specifically on this community and not on another one? I mean, how did you pick this community?
Hmm. Uh, it was curious because that was something that we were thinking about for like a week. We were not like sure to decide which community go to give the toys, and and I talked to my mom, and she mentioned me that she knew a person that normally she does like this type of collects, that probably this person could know like the certain communities, because there are communities where people attend to give them toys, but there are communities that are completely ignored. And she told us that this community uh, it's a little bit more ignored because it's not like exactly in Salamanca, it's not like exactly in Irapuato,
Okay,
because it's like in the middle, and people sometimes don't want to go like in the highway to to go to the school and deliver it. And yeah, she sent us the phone number of the director, and after that we talked with her, and that's how we arranged it.
that's great. That's great. Um, I'm sure this is not. I might be. It's more like a question.
Mhm.
I imagine this is not your first community or effort of this nature.
Yeah.
Uh, have you had other events in which you generously, kindly, uninterestedly, you do something? I know that Instituto Irapuato, for instance, when Minerva was at the school, they organized building, making some tortas for people who were outside the general hospital, not for the patients, but for the parents of the patients or the assistants or attendants of the patients who were outside, and they took him tortas like 2 or 3 times a semester. I thought that was very, very generous and very kind, very polite. So I know that Instituto has done something like this before, but this is a personal initiative. Um, how did you get this idea, Miki? It looks really nice. Have you seen similar efforts like this? Uh, what can you say about this?
Yeah, there are. I have seen like foundations that they do like the same, and mostly in like this season, because we know that some people don't have like the money to purchase toys to their kids, and kids at the end they have like the hope that one day they're gonna wake up and see like the toys in their houses. We were aware of that, and it was like a normal chat with friends. We decided to we just mentioned it, just like I don't know how to say it, like this person in English, like we just mentioned it, but we didn't pay like too much attention to it. And I was analyzing it, and it was like I consider that we our pages, because my other friend have a page of cleaning sneakers, so in a way we are like um, working in together, to doing that. And 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 we consider that we have like a good amount of people that follows the our pages, that is like looking to our posts. So it was like, let's try it. We don't know the result, but let's try it. And and yeah, at the end we're not like a foundation, but the response to people was great. And yeah,
That's
that's
awesome. I'd like to ask something of you, if possible. If you go to more to when you go to more to the community, if you can take some photographs or videos, and then you allow us to share them, say in our Facebook page. So the intention is that we point at people like you who are doing these generous acts of well, generosity to kids that in my case are not so common. I'm sure there are some generous people out there that are helping kids, helping people in poverty with no reason, not many things. But I think actions like this should be promoted to inspire other people to follow, like, yeah, to like you are doing. So I hope that is possible, Mickey, that if you can take pictures and we show it, congratulate, not because you guys were looking for praise or something. The idea is to inspire other people that replicate or that emulate what you guys are doing, because I think there are many more communities that
exactly.
would be very happy and that would be in need also of medicine, food, shelter, blankets, etc., etc.
Hmm.
This time is gifts. That's amazing. And to see the, I only imagine the smiles of those kids to see a gift that maybe it's their first gift that they ever receive, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, of course, sure, of course. We're gonna take pictures and we're gonna record a little video. And and I don't know. I think that at the beginning, because I received messages, like two messages, just two message, of people saying that probably was like more a promotion, for me and my friend. But at the end, I wouldn't say that it's a promotion because we're not acquiring uh, money from that. We're not reselling the toys. So I think that there were people that have like this negative idea, and one of the reasons why I want to record everything is like to really show that it was like a sincere effort to, yeah, to do something positive. Because as I told you, I think that in many cases we are against something, or we are expecting that someone else does what we want to do, because they have more power or more money, or they are the government, whatever, and we ignore what we can do. So yeah, we're gonna take pictures and record videos too.
You said that you received a couple of negative comments from people.
Yeah, just like two. It wasn't like too many comments. The majority of them were like really admiring the effort, because we stayed there for a whole afternoon. After that, we paid on Instagram and on Facebook to promote the video where we were like asking to donate toys. So yeah, we were investing money. We're gonna invest money today in purchase new toys too. And and, and yeah, I don't know, people, not so many of them. I would say that just like 5%,
Okay.
but it was something that surprised me, because it was like, oh my god, how can I do promotion from this? How can I get like a profit from it? But well, just ignore the bad comments and focus on the positive ones. And the positive ones were the people that donate toys, that were like asking if they can do like something else. Some people actually offered to uh, drive there and have like
Mhm.
their toys in their trucks. So yeah, it was mostly positive. How to say, like a positive um,
Feedback.
feedback from people. Yeah.
That's really nice. That's really nice. It'd be interesting to know how a foundation works, because at the end, the more people collaborate, the more people work with in collaboration with the idea that you have. At the beginning, as you said, uh, individual efforts, right? Probably a little bit isolated, one here, one there, one here, one there, one
Mhm.
today, one tomorrow, next week, etc.
Mhm.
They can become something stronger, like a snowball. It
Mhm.
can start growing, and in no time, even the governments are willing to collaborate, to cooperate when they see positive efforts that become successful, and you have the evidence to show,
Mhm.
because that's what people sometimes doubt. And when people doubt something, it's probably because I don't know what the reasons have. They have to doubt the honest effort of guys like you. But there is nothing better than to show, well, here's the evidence, right? And when you continue doing that, Mickey, even governments tend to get involved in the social areas. So I only see positive outcomes from this effort that you guys are gonna do tomorrow. Well, that you have been doing and you're gonna deliver tomorrow.
Thank you, teacher. Yeah, today is gonna be a long day because we're gonna put everything in bags, like to decorate a little bit, to not just like took the toy and yeah, this for you, this for you. We're gonna put everything in bags. We are thinking in purchase probably candies too. I don't know, like uh, paleta payaso or something to give it with the bag of toys. So yeah, today is gonna be a long day, but we know that the reward's gonna be positive.
I was just thinking, because it's very easy to get in the motion of the wave, right? That is the wave of the ocean, so it's very easy to get in there, right? To go with
Hmm.
the flow.
Yeah.
But maybe delivering a short message, any idea, any thought, any positive comment that maybe the kids will not understand it, but their parents will for sure. If you give any message that goes with your values, with your core values, that probably will motivate, encourage, inspire, or teach the parents something like don't not to give up, continue looking for the benefit of your kids, keep them in the right track. I don't know, some kind of message. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I mean, the gift is a gift for the kids. They're going to enjoy it and love it, and they will remember this day tomorrow forever. But the parents will be there too. So it might be a good idea to take advantage of the. Well, I'm not sure. That's actually, I take that back. The parents may not be there, right? Only the
The parents,
teachers.
the parents may not, but I think that now that you mentioned that, what I can do is like I don't know, print like an image of uh, the three magic king. How do you say it?
Three
In
wise men.
three wise men, three wise men,
It could be.
and probably put a little message. I don't know. I can ask to the AI to help me create 68 different messages in a way to don't write one with one by other. Um, and yeah, put it in the back of toys. I think that can be probably kids. I don't know how many of them know how to now uh, read, but I think that yeah, it can be a actually something very positive. I haven't think about it until you mentioned it.
Well, could be something additional to the effort. But the idea is absolutely fantastic. Well, good job, Mickey.
Sure.
Good
Thank you.
luck tomorrow. Also, let's see how it comes. Um, Okay, changing the subject a little bit. I believe the other day we were talking about the concept of obedience to authority. Remember that we mentioned this a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this was a famous experiment by Milgram. Remember?
Mm, about the social experiments.
Yeah.
Mm.
You remember this experiment, right? Obedience to authority.
Let me read a bit of it.
Let's see. It was here. The famous experiment here. Or maybe just as a recap, you may wish to read these 3 lines, 4 lines.
The book details a series of experiments Milgram conducted at Yale University in the early 1960s. Set up, participants were told they were in a learning and memory study. They were assigned the role of teacher, while a confederate, an actor, was the learner. Task: the teacher was to administer electric.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry.
Okay.
I read the whole
Yes,
part.
please. Yes, it's 4 points or five.
Okay. Task: the teacher was to administer electric shocks to the learner for each wrong answer, increasing the voltage with each mistake, from 15 volts to a lethal 450 volts. The shocks were fake, but the teacher believed they were real. Authority: a strong experimenter in a lab coat, the authority figure stood by, instructing the teacher to continue with the standardized prods like, the experiment requires that you continue, and you have no other choice, you must go on. Conflict: the learner, heard from another room, would scream, plead, complain of a heart condition, and eventually fall silent. This created extreme tension for the teacher between obeying the scientist and responding to the victim's suffering.
Okay.
Key results: the results were shocking and far exceeded predictions. High obedience rate: 65% of participants, 26 out of 40, in the baseline experiment continued to the maximum potentially lethal 450-volt shock. Universal distress: participants show extreme stress, sweating, trembling, stuttering, nervous laughter, but many continued to obey. Disobedience threshold: most who disobeyed did so at the 150-volt level when the learner first demanded to be freed.
What do you think of the results, Mickey?
I didn't know this experiment. It surprised me a little bit, and it surprised me the the high obedience rate, because 65% of participants, it was like, okay, this is my work and this is what I have to do, and they did it. Probably they felt a lot of emotions and probably regrets a little bit, but at the end they were just obeying, and it's, I don't know. I think that that's what a authority calls.
Yeah, and the strangest reason, the strangest thought, or you can analyze this as, these are not criminals. These are students of a high stock university, Yale University. You would say, well, yeah, they're gonna go to the maximum lethal shock of 150 volts, and they're gonna kill the big. But they are criminal. No, they are not criminals. They are students like you are and I was, right? You were yeah. So they were good people, but you gave them the instruction to go full voltage, and 65% went to the lethal. They didn't kill the victim because he was a fake, it was an actor, right? But they go to the extreme point of administering 450-volt shock
Yeah.
just because they were under orders. So it's uh, worrying. It's a very worrying situation, but very interesting. And now, something they don't mention in this summary is that 65% was considerably reduced because they have variations of the experiment. I read the book. It was a great book. It's a great book. I'm going to share it with you. It's called Obedience to Authority. When you saw the victim, in quotation marks, enter the room, they had variations. Sometimes you did not salute. Sometimes you did not even see him or see her. And sometimes the researcher told you to say hello. Okay, you want to say hello to the victim. Hey, hello, how are you? The more contact you had with the victim, the sooner you abandoned the experiment and avoided the suffering of the other person. In other words, if you were able to say, hello, how are you? I'm fine, I'm coming from an experiment. Oh, great, I'm on the other side of the experiment and I'm going to shock you to death. More often and very soon, they decided to abandon. They said, well, we need to continue with the experiment. No, forget it. No, but it's an experiment. It's very important. No, forget it. And they left because they had this initial contact with the person. So as you said, I think you said that you developed some empathy.
Very interesting.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was a little bit worried when I read it. It was like, oh my god, how 65%? And I was like, imagine myself like in that experiment, and it was like, oh my god, I don't know, probably I would abandon it. But when you have like the pressure, and when you are, well, obviously the social experiment was very good planned, but when you have like a responsibility, I think that is normally when you try, well, when you don't obey yourself and you're just like obeying orders. So now that you mentioned that when they have a little bit of empathy, or when they knew the person before, how they create this empathy, it makes me a little bit more relaxed. But the obedience rate at the end, it was very high.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why when you have to execute certain orders in the military, in the police, etc., etc., etc. For example, in the military, they send militiamen to other cities. So that creates the detachment from the population. You don't have the feeling that you may be attacking a relative or a friend. So if you join the militia, they're going to send you to Chiapas, or they're going to send you to Nuevo León, or they're going to send you to a place where you most likely don't have relatives or friends.
Yeah.
That way you don't have this mercy or this feeling of empathy towards others, and then you obey. That guarantees your obedience, even if they are unlawful orders.
Yeah, it is very well interesting. I think that is something that we need to normally analyze, because I think that we as a kids and as a persons, we are get used to obey, and in many cases, since the school, I think that when you disobey, you can get like punishments, or the people treat you in a different way, uh, and that's why we just obey without like really analyzing the possible consequences. So yeah, it's something interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then they have, okay, here. Let's see some of the variables that they mentioned here. Do you want to go through them, please, Mickey?
Yeah.
Proximity.
Proximity to victim. Obedience dropped when the teacher could see or touch the learner. Physical distance increased obedience.
Which is what we just said.
Yeah. Proximity to authority. Obedience was highest when the experimenter was in the room. It dropped significantly when he gave orders by phone.
Yeah, that's why you have all these corporate meetings in person.
Yeah. Legitimacy of sitting. Obedience was slightly lower when the experiment was moved from Yale's prestigious campus to a rundown office building.
Okay. That's also an explanation why many offices have these ornaments and statues and symbols of power, right? To instill not fear, but to instill respect in the audience, signs of power, right? Nice statue, or the painting of a president, or some symbols that legitimate their actions. All right,
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
another thing.
makes sense. I don't know that. Status of authority. If the authority was another participant, obedience collapsed. And presence of disobedient peers. When other teachers, actors, rebelled, the real participant was far more likely to also disobey, showing the power of social support.
Yeah, this is a very common device. There was another experiment that I think we discussed once, in which there was an office of a medical doctor or attorney. I don't remember which one was that. And there was an actor sitting there, and then other people in the crowd that were the guinea pigs. And the actor and the other guys listened to the alarm sound. And in the first setting, the the actor that was a person, a supposed patient waiting in the office, remained calm while reading the newspaper. And but he, for the way of dressing, he was neatly dressed and had some golden chains in the neck and in the wrist, or something nice clock and so on. So it looked like the most wealthy person in the room, the one with the most authority. He didn't move, even when the alarm was sounding. And the other guys were looking at him, and they noticed that he was calm, so they didn't move too much. And there was a second part of the experiment in which the same person, the same alarm, but other people there around, he started listening to the alarm and he started moving, shaking, trembling, and moving away. And the others followed right after him, with the idea that actions are contagious from the person that represents the top authority. What do you think of this experiment, Mickey?
It is very interesting, and now that you remember that you told about this experiment, I remember an experiment that I watched on Facebook, like I don't know, 3 or 4 years, 4 years ago, and it was like something similar. It's supposed that is a line for an appointment with a doctor, and suddenly it sounds like a noise, and everybody that is in the line starts to stand up, and normally it's like people knew that is not part of the experiment, entering to the room, and when they watch like the noise and they watch that people is like stand up in that moment, and then they sit down without without knowing the reason, they started doing the same, and it was like 10 people, and the 10 people did the same. So it was like, yeah, it makes sense that sometimes when we are not part of or of something, or when we're not like completely yeah, when we don't know like the experience of that, we just follow what is happening, and we just, as you mentioned, we follow the flow.
Right.
And yeah, it makes total sense. I consider that probably I will do the same at least the 1 or 2 times.
Right. Yeah, because many of the actions in crowds, in public, are contagious,
Totally. Yeah.
for the good or for the bad. So but that at the end, the conclusion that we can reach from here is that we once we understand how society behaves, we can design experiments for the benefit of society. I would say, not for the manipulation of crowds.
So yeah, it's very interesting.
Okay, let's see if we can design or think of a social experiment for next class, Mickey. If there is something that we can devise with a specific purpose in mind. Let's see what
That's
comes
true.
to our minds. Maybe
Sounds
for
interesting.
next Thursday or Friday, Mickey. What do you think?
I think that if it's at 8:30 or 9, I think that both days are good for me. So you just let me know, and we decide it in during the week.
Okay, very good, Mickey. Okay, as usual, great talking to you. Thank you for sharing your ideas and congratulations for tomorrow. Let me know how it goes.
Thank you, teacher. Of course, I'm gonna take pictures and I'm gonna record it too, and I'm gonna send it to you, teacher. Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much. Take care. See you Thursday or Friday then, Mickey. Take
Yes,
care.
sure. Enjoy your week. Take care.
Thank you. You too. See you soon then. Bye.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.